Joining us now, a very special guest, Dr. Kaushik Basu, was Chief Economic Advisor, working very closely with Dr. Manmohan Singh. Dr. Basu, thank you very much for being with us. You've had, we'll talk about the broader policies in a little while from now, but do you have any abiding memory of working with Dr. Manmohan Singh?
Overall, the impression I came, I was the first chief economist with no government experience. So I came fully from outside, which had not happened before that. And initially it was, I was apprehensive about this totally different setting, but it was very comforting by the sheer professionalism of the Prime Minister. Later on, I got to work at the World Bank and others with lots of politicians. And of course, understandably, a lot of the time for politicians goes on politics. But with Dr. Manmohan Singh, that stood out. And in retrospect, I appreciate even more. From the word go, we would be discussing something to do with the economy, with welfare. And these are difficult decisions. Not every decision taken is a correct decision. But that abiding interest in economic policy was absolutely outstanding. And I had, when I joined, told him that, I'm joining on condition that I do want to have access to you regularly. And about once a month through my 3-year period, I would sit down with him, and each time it would be a discussion on exports, on growth, on inflation control. There were difficult problems taking place, and we would talk about it. And that professionalism struck me. And I should add another thing, the modesty. The modesty which I feel came from a deep confidence, which people very often misunderstand. He knew that he thought clearly and was always polite and willing to listen to your viewpoint, whether there's agreement or disagreement. So no, it was an absolutely remarkable experience, despite the initial hesitation of being in a totally different.
Dealing with coalition politics was something which you would have been aware of. The fact, there were so many issues which were a concern, whether it was privatization or the civil nuclear deal itself. How did he negotiate dealing with coalition politics to push through his economic agenda?
Those were hurdles, and there were many things that he wanted to do, which would be virtually impossible in that setting. And I can give you other examples. The GST, which we wanted to, and we had repeat meetings with the Finance Minister, Pranab Mukherjee, with Manmohan Singh, but just could not get it through. So there were hurdles that we did not manage to navigate. But overall, if you look at the policies that took place, right from inflation management, inflation was very high. You will recall 2009, when I joined government, the Great Recession was on around the world, and the whole world was troubled, and inflation was very high. But the minutiae of the policy that we were going into, how do you manage the prices of food, how do you manage the price of oil, was quite remarkable, very, very professional. Auction design fascinated me, that to capture a Prime Minister's attention, saying auction is complicated like an engineering problem, that we need to do that. India is at a stage where we will get into that. These were all just remarkable experiences, but no doubt that there were hurdles, and there were hurdles that we could not cross.
So the civil nuclear deal, did it ultimately fail to achieve what it was meant to achieve? Is that a real concern about where it stands today?
True, it has not. At the same time, I do feel that India gained in stature of a kind which has helped in a very unusual way. In the intellectual space, in the scientific space, India rose to a level, and one benefit of that I see is not quite on the geography of the country, but Indians around the world. They have risen to a certain standing. And I do feel that many of these initiatives, in a quiet way, contributed to India. Quiet way, and actually, if you really think hard, in a big way, contributed to where India is today.
All right, Dr. Basu, wonderful speaking to you. Thank you so much for joining us.